This episode is brought to you by the Accounting Started digital course for small businesses. It's a 7 module self paced course that teaches you the basics of accounting, and it comes with a free access to our accounting and payroll software. You can check it out at accountingcourseph.com. So, hey guys, welcome to our episode of our podcast today. We're going to be talking about effective task delegation. So, let's get started.
Welcome to the Digital Transformation Academy. My name is Dennis Hilario and I'm here to help you in your digital transformation journey. Let the show begin. Okay, so welcome to the Digital Transformation Academy podcast. It's another Friday today, and as Fiona said, we're gonna talk about how to get better results in delegation. So, Fiona, how are you? How's your first few weeks of college days?
Yeah, so I just started college and the load is pretty manageable. So I'm doing pretty good. And I like my schedule. I was telling my friends I like my schedule because I only have a few classes per week.
I
So yeah,
see.
doing really good.
So, how's the difference in terms of stress compared to high school?
Yeah, so I only experienced online college.
Mm.
I like this better than online high school because my schedule's light and the load is
Mm.
light still. Yeah, so far. So I don't want to jinx it.
We're still on a lockdown mode.
Yes, we
Um,
are.
yeah, what other, I think level 4, bago na yung term, it's not MECQ, it's
Yeah,
level
they're
4.
taking that out.
But I think you can already dine in a small percentage capacity, al
Yeah.
fresco, etc. No? So, all right. So let's dive right to the topic. So again, we are still in our HR management series. I think it's gonna be the last episode for HR management for now. So we've discussed several aspects. I think this is one of the core things in
Yeah.
HR management, yung being a leader at the same time, yung task delegation. Well, regarding to effective delegation, as we know, there's a significant change, 'di ba? So, nawala na, gone are the days of time in and time out, no, because we are all working from home. Employee timekeeping, though, there are, a lot of timekeeping tools that was introduced, no, during this transition.
Mm-hmm.
Pero majority, of course, is not really relying on timekeeping, time in and time out.
Yeah.
So na-disrupt talaga yung norm, no, in terms of employee timekeeping, task delegation, and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. So, well, in any case, yes, there's a significant change, but yung delegation principle stays the same, no?
Yeah.
Like, for example, of course, it's difficult to delegate tasks without a proper understanding of yung roles ng
Mm-hmm.
each team member. So, in any team naman, a sports team, or NASCAR team, kailangan well-defined yung scope of work, no?
Yeah.
And the vision of the leader dapat na-instill amongst the team kung saan niya dadalhin yung team niya, no? Yun, I think, is one of the most important aspect
Mm-hmm.
in team or task delegation, no? So the leader must really acquire that skill and the art of delegating tasks. Okay, so moving on, yung being head of the team doesn't mean kasi that all the work falls on you. No.
Yeah.
So the goal of the leader is to focus. I think we've discussed this last time. Is to focus on
Mm-hmm.
strategies while teamwork with autonomy. Okay. Adili yun yung yung delegation kasi na term is medyo tricky.
Yeah.
Pero in reality, when the scope of work is clear, then yung delegation halos sabihin you don't need to do it on a regular basis because you would want your team to work autonomous, meaning magkukusa sila on what are the things that they need to do to accomplish a certain goal. No? Kumbaga, the team should feel empowered. They should take the initiative and they should be motivated to work on that goal. Diba?
Yeah.
So, kasi by having that mindset, then yung employee mo will feel, of course, trust that you're giving them. And then they'll be more committed because they also get to fix their focus, no, on what you've assigned to them or yung scope of work nila, which will make them more productive and efficient. No? Yun. So, siguro before we proceed with the few tips on how to delegate effectively, like in your case, di ba, you have, of course, you've experienced leading a team with members. So, how are you as a leader? How do you delegate tasks before?
First, I think the vision has
Mm-hmm.
to be instilled in me. Whatever vision that is, whether it's for the team, whether it's for a project that we're doing, I really have to be clear of where I want to go, the direction I want to go to
Mm-hmm.
before I delegate specific tasks. And then when the big picture is done, that's where I get to assess the people in it, the people in my team, if what their strengths are, what are they good at, and that also involves talking to them. So it's really important that, at least for me, I love talking to people about where they're at, processing with them, because that gives me it helps me to know what kind of tasks I can give them. And also, when it comes to delegating tasks, it's also taking risks on people. So it's assessing assessing collateral damage in a way where uh, you have to assess what kind of risk you're taking, not just giving it to people. But yeah, that's for me. I love communicating with the people first before really giving them something.
Mm.
So yeah.
I think that, yeah, you got it right, ano? So it's more of really consistent communication with your team, no? What are their roles? Ano yung scope of work nila, no? Pero yeah, so I have here like a few tips on how to delegate effectively. So in my case, in our organization, we really practice this guide or tips, no, how to do it. So the first thing is that one of the priority is really choosing the right people.
Yep.
Okay, so this is why recruitment is really crucial or crucial part of HR management. Yung assessing yung strengths nila, ano yung weaknesses nila, and their work or motivation to why they work in the team, no. Another aspect is yung emotional intelligence nila. Are they aligned in terms of their core values sa team? At saka yung work habits, no. So yun yung isa sa mga importante. So given na we have the right people, so the next step is that, as I mentioned, no, clearly stating their job description. Ano ba yung role nila? Ano yung scope of work nila? Yung na-discuss natin before, what is their KPIs? Then some organizations, they introduce work instructions, no? Lalo na yung mga labor-heavy tasks, yung mga like sa manufacturing or production, may mga work step-by-step instructions on how to do their jobs, no. Yun, and then making them realize how will it contribute to the team or to the organization, kasi by doing that, then yun nga, there will be an autonomy, in terms of doing their tasks. Yun.
Yeah.
So yung third, you have to establish like or be clear as well in terms of the project or performance review system. So like in our case, software developers, no, we've been practicing a system called sprints. No. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but basically it's an agile methodology. Kasi yung traditional kasi tinatawag sa project management is a waterfall approach. No? So meaning you set timelines. These are the milestones 1 to 10, for example. Then you execute the milestone, parang waterfall from top to bottom, no. At the end of the milestone, kung wala kang consistent and agile way of doing it, doon mo palang realize that there will be may roadblocks pala, hindi na-accomplish yung task because of this and that, ano. So, yung agile methodology kasi, it promotes flexibility in project management. So, it's like, yung tinatawag na sprint, it's like a system where you can set a weekly or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks na project milestones. So, meron kang high-level picture of the project, but you have to subdivide it into what we call sprints. na hindi mo kailangan isipin yung entirety of the project in detail. Kasi yung waterfall approach, iniisip mo na yung entirety of the project from start to finish eh. Yun kasing yung agile methodology is that you have the concept, you have a high level analysis of the scope, pero yung details you have to attend to it on a each sprint basis, every week, every 2 weeks, or every 3 weeks.
In a certain timeline.
Right. Kasi ang nature ng software development is that yun nga, sometimes you realize that you need this feature or not when you get there. No? At the same time nga, kung every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks kayo nagsiset ng milestones, then you'll have also a performance review or tinatawag na retrospective. So in retrospect, what have been accomplished, and then ano yung isiset natin na next milestone after that sprint. Yun, so it's a granular approach in scope and work management. Yun, so the next step kasi is that after you've established that system, kasi yun nga system, it's a system of defining the scope for the sprint, tas may daily huddle, and then at the end of the sprint, ano nangyari, what happened, di ba? Ano yung na-deliver, ano yung hindi, and what are the roadblocks, no? So after that, in the beginning of the sprint or in the beginning of the week, you will have to ask people to commit.
Yeah.
No, so it's ideal that the tasks given to each one as well are well documented. Okay. So meaning what are the specifications of things to be done, or for example, kung hindi sa software development, kunyari sa accounting tasks, di ba? So for this week, these are the things that we need to do. These are the what do you call this milestone that we need to accomplish. We need to produce the financial statements for this milestone, di ba? So something like that. And then after the documentation or a clear definition of the scope for that sprint, then you'll have to let the members estimate each tasks, no, and their commitment date to deliver. So for example, is this task, can you commit to this for this sprint, diba? So you're giving them like the liberty to to assess if they can commit to it or not, diba? Then you negotiate as a leader. You can negotiate or ask your team member to justify why cannot commit to this, diba? Kumbaga, really a collaboration between your team and the leader, no?
Yeah.
So once you have agreed on the commitment, okay, and the committed tasks that they will deliver for the sprint or the commitment date, then it's not necessary, but ideally there's a daily huddle. Ang tawag doon is stand-up meetings. Stand-up kasi pinopromote talaga doon, nakatayo ka eh. Para very quick lang yung meeting, Hindi kailangan na matagal yung meeting. It's just asking the team if there are roadblocks, if there are clarifications and whatnot. It's not really micromanaging. Actually, I really discourage micromanaging, no. It's more of a feedback system wherein, are you guys okay? Do you have roadblocks and those things, no? Yon. So, siguro just to add then, it's a common notion kasi na if you're busy or taking time to do a particular task, then you should, as a person, you should be charging more. Time-based na approach. Actually, yun yung traditional way of doing things, no? On the other hand, if you are efficient and you're doing quality work in less time, then you should charge less. Yeah, yun yung common notion. Pero I disagree to that. I believe kasi that people should value things based on output and not based on time. Ako, for example, if I tell you na I can do this in a less time, but the same quality with the person who can do it in a longer time, diba? So I should be more valuable than the other person, diba? So yun yung concept kasi na for the longest time, diba, for example, yung mga professionals like lawyers, they charge by the hour. no? So ito kasing what we are discussing now is like a commitment based na na approach, meaning yes, your team member, what is your commitment to deliver this, 'di ba?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the sprint or at the end of the weeks or a 2 week period, there's a feedback system that's the fifth guide or tip ano. There should be a feedback system or review of what has been accomplished and ano ba yung naging challenges and mistakes encountered in the middle of the sprint to make sure that the team avoids the same issues for the next sprint, no. And it's also important that to record the actual performance versus the commitment, 'di ba? So what ito yung commitment mo, then this is the what you have delivered, no. Kasi based on that, it's very clear in terms of performance of your team, 'di ba? Kasi kung hindi siya makaka-deliver, dapat during the daily huddles, they should have raised that, 'di ba? They should have raised na hindi ko
Yeah.
ma-deliver to because of this roadblock. So doon justify mo kung bakit hindi niya deliver. Pero if the
Mm-hmm.
person didn't say anything and then at the end of the sprint they weren't able to deliver, then it's clear na hindi siya effective na employee or team member. So, and again, yung na-discuss natin about quarterly employee performance appraisal, you can now have like a summary of those documents and show them clearly their performance, no, without any subjective judgment about their performance, di ba? Ayun, so overall, as I said, it's like a commitment based delegation, or it's not really
Yeah.
delegation but asking them their commitments, a collaboration within the team members na ito yung magiging ano natin, goal, and then after that then you execute, and then during the daily stand-up meetings and huddles, then they can raise if they have problems, di ba? So
Yeah.
iyon, I think that's the most effective delegation technique that I know in my past 20 years experience in dealing or managing people. But of course, pag maganda yung performance ng team, you should not forget commending them or expressing gratitude on every successful milestone,
Yeah.
celebrating afterwards, or probably ano no, establish a good incentive scheme to stimulate din yung satisfaction ng team na meron silang na meet na goal. Kasi if you are not explicit in that uh, feedback system, then of course the motivation crashes, di ba?
Yeah, to add to that lang, celebrating wins is super important because it's what
Mm.
motivates them also.
Mm.
How about when it comes to deadlines, what's your take on it? Or your personal take on it? Are you strict with it?
In relation to what I have discussed earlier, no, ang pinakang deadline kasi is that the date of the yung the end of every sprint, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Yun yung parang nakaset na deadline sa kanila na at the end of the every sprint dapat you have delivered this because you committed to this, 'di ba?
Yes, that's
Now,
part of the commitment.
if they did not say anything during on a daily meetings or daily huddles, and at the end of the sprint hindi sila naka-deliver, then of course there's a retrospective, no, bakit di ka naka-deliver, ano yung reason bakit hindi mo yan ni-raise. Those are the things you have to really digest, the reason or the cause of why they
Yeah.
did not deliver, di ba? Kasi there are so many reasons. It can be they are not motivated to do it, they are not
Mm-hmm.
equipped to do it, they did not understand the what do you call this, the nature of their work, di ba? It all boils down pa rin at the end of the day dun sa leader eh. Ibig sabihin, if your team cannot deliver, the accountability of not delivering the project is goes to the leader,
Yeah.
'di ba? Of course may accountability yung tao. That's why meron tayong documentation of their performance na And then, dun papasok ngayon yung what we've discussed before, yung code of ethics. Na if you did not deliver, then we can ask you a notice to explain.
Yeah.
Diba? And then, based on that, then we can assess if they are subject to disciplinary actions. Diba? On a human side of it, of course, you have to be empathetic then towards yun nga, what are the reasons bakit are you having family problems, etc., etc. So those are the things na doon papasok yung coaching and whatnot. If they consistently do not deliver tasks, then doon papasok na ngayon yung mga disciplinary actions, di ba?
That's good. Another question I can have is, when it comes to assessing their strengths and weaknesses, do you have an action plan when it comes to working on their weaknesses? Like, just so to keep the team flexible.
Right. Actually, yeah, that's true, no. Those weaknesses naman are not clear during the first few weeks or months of working with the person, di ba?
Yeah.
So meron tayong tinatawag na recasting, no. So if you are not equipped to do this task or function, maybe you'll work well in this function, di ba? So, yun, yung consistent feedback system is really important because doon mo nakikita talaga kung saan siya magaling or saan siya weak na aspect, di ba? So, of course, especially if the employee is a regular employee, it's not automatic that you terminate them if they have weaknesses, di ba? So, you can, yun nga, help them grow by putting them on a function where they can work well, di ba? Pero may hangganan pa rin 'yon, of course. After assigning several function to them and still they don't perform, of course, again, it will be subjected to proper code of ethics criteria, no. Yan. Very HR management, especially if you are into a service business. Sinasabi ko nga, a service business is really an HR business because you're dealing with people and you're handling different types of people.
Yeah, these are really great insights. Thank you. As we close this, maybe you can give us, if you were to sum up all the tips that we gave today, if you were to give us one word, just one word for effective delegation, what would it be?
Wow, that's a very difficult question. To me, it's empathy.
Empathy. That's a good word. Because it deals with people.
Yeah, kasi empathy in general is putting yourself in the other person's shoes, di ba?
Yes.
So if you are delegating this, you have to have the empathy. Do you think if the person can do it or not, di ba? If he or she understands the task, if he or she parang are equipped in doing the task, di ba? So that's the key to actually hindi lang sa delegation but HR management or people management in general. Yun, that's why yun nga I don't really easily get offended or because I most of the time I put myself in the person's shoes and then
Yes.
before I decide on something
Yeah.
I don't take offense easily.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, thank you so much. It was such a great way. This was such a great way to cap off our human resource management series.
Yes.
Thank you so much to all our listeners and watchers.
Right. So, I'm excited actually for our next series because I'd like to step back again and discuss the digital transformation for small businesses. Because last year kasi I wrote an ebook about it And kasi it's all about the 4 stages of digital transformation. Yun. So let's discuss each one in our next episodes until we finish it, so that which is the main essence of this podcast, the Digital Transformation Academy. And yeah, like you mentioned at first, I'm excited also to launch the second edition of my Accounting 101 or Accounting Starter Digital course. The main addition to it is the payroll process. Kasi my first edition did not include the payroll process. So this one, it will we are introducing the basic payroll terms and the payroll computation, and it comes also with the free access to our Snap Payroll. So the Snap Payroll kasi right now is free. So I hope you guys check it out, accountingcourseph.com. You can find it in the below link in this episode.
Yeah, guys, definitely stay tuned for all of that. So thank you again. If it's your first time listening to this or wherever platform you're consuming this from, don't forget to subscribe in our YouTube channel. Like this video if you want to see more content like this, and just comment down below any suggestions, but also stay tuned for all our future series and episodes together. So thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much, DX, your life and business. Have a great day.